Now, the United States and China are hurtled towards an all-out trade war as Donald Trump prepares to unleash a new wave of tariffs. The new tariff comes after Beijing's pushback against Trump has raised tariffs to 104% in response to China's decision to match reciprocal duties Trump announced last week.
Right now, China is paying a 104% tariff. Think of it, 104%. Now, it sounds ridiculous, but they charged us for many items 100%, 125%. Many countries have. They've ripped us off left and right.
Sweeping 10% U.S. tariffs that took effect over the weekend triggered a dramatic market sell-off worldwide and has sparked recession fears. Rates on imports to the U.S. from dozens of economies are set to rise further, and this will see tariffs imposed on Chinese products since Trump's return reached a staggering 104%. China has refused to bow to what it called blackmail and vowed to fight to the end. Trump remains defiant despite major U.S. indexes tumbling again. He believes his policy will revive America's lost manufacturing base by forcing companies to relocate to the U.S.
Until they make a deal with us, that's what it's going to be. I think they'll make a deal at some point. China will. They want to make a deal. They really do. They want to make a deal. They just don't know how to get it started because they're proud people.
The White House says nearly 70 countries have reached out looking to begin negotiations on reducing the impact of Trump's tariff policy. White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt has said that deals will be made if they benefit American workers and address chronic trade deficits. Now, Trump has directed his team to work on tailor-made deals for each country that reaches out. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer has said exemptions to Trump's global tariffs are not expected in the near term. The trade representative, who oversees the implementation of the tariff, also said Trump's sweeping tariffs are already getting results, bringing other countries to the negotiating table to discuss reducing their trade barriers. But things may be challenging for a while. Addressing the Senate Finance Committee, Greer said that there is no particular timeline for trade negotiations.
Senator, the president has been clear with me and with others that he does not intend to have exclusions and exemptions, especially given the nature of the action. If you have Swiss cheese in the action, it can undermine the overall point, which is to get rid of the deficit, achieve reciprocity.
All right. To discuss more, we're being joined by our correspondent, Susan Tenani, on the phone line with us. Susan, thank you so much for joining us. Now, Trump looks like he's defiant on his move. He is ready to go head-to-head with China. Where does this trade deal stand now?
Well, at this point, it's clear that President Trump thinks that he has the upper hand. And while the administration views these tariffs as leverage to secure favorable trade agreements, they've also sparked several concerns. First of all, it's the economic impact, then it's the market volatility, international relations with countries, not just on tariff, but more broad-based, and ultimately China not backing down. And remember, China is going to face almost 104% tariffs in less than an hour from now if some kind of magical agreement isn't reached between the two sides. So while other countries, there is promise that some sort of negotiated deal is going to come forth, it's very hard to imagine that China would budge, at least in the short term.
Right. And you said that countries are on the negotiating table, and we're hearing from White House saying about 70 countries are agreeing or they're coming for a negotiating table. So far, we heard that Japan has been talking, and we just had Netanyahu visit the White House. What other countries are we hearing about?
Well, there's South Korea, there's a number of European countries. Of course, the European Union as a bloc has said that they want zero tariffs. As you mentioned, Benjamin Netanyahu was the first to actually come out and talk to President Trump. Now, the reason, and Japan is also at the negotiating table. The reason we don't know the name of these countries is partly because President Trump is addressing them very bluntly, so to say. So maybe a lot of them don't want to come out directly right now and say that they're negotiating with the United States. But nonetheless, it appears that there are, countries are willing to negotiate because they just can't afford these tariffs. And also, I just want to say when it comes to China, China has an export economy. So it's unclear, whether or not this delay is going to be to the benefit of China or not. I mean, one can argue that the United States also has a consumer economy, and this trade war with China is not beneficial. But I guess we'll have to wait and see who's going to blink first.
Right, and it seems like Donald Trump seems to think that China will be making a deal at some point, as he commented in one of the events.
Right. Yeah, he thinks that he has the upper hand. He believes that China cannot lose the American market. Again, one, because it has an export economy, and second of all, because so much of its products are here in the United States and reliant on the United States. And then thirdly, there are also back-channel deals on a number of other issues. For example, I would give you just an example. Pete Hegseth, the defense secretary, was in Panama today. They talked about the Panama Canal and how the United States wants to take control of the Panama Canal away from strategic control from China. And then you have the issue of TikTok. That's up for negotiations as well. So, all of these are sort of intertwined in how perhaps Donald Trump thinks that he has the upper hand. But I also want to say he's not directly just talking to China. He's also talking to a domestic audience here, despite the fact that they have a majority on Capitol Hill. It's a slim majority. Some Republicans are very weary about these tariff laws, and for that reason, the Republicans haven't been able to move forward with their budget agreements. So that's another point of concern for President Trump. He's also talking to domestically, not only politicians, but to the American people as well.
Right. All right, Susan, of course, thank you for bringing us the latest. We'll, of course, see how this all plays out and get you again for giving us more information.